Ladies and gentlemen, it's the third podcast, and I'm excited to be doing this. I think this has been great so far, getting to have an open conversation with the pros about their weaknesses, um, their history in the competitive scene, and like finding where they are at the moment, the current challenges. I think it's important for the community to be enlightened about this. I think it's something people really want to hear about and see about. So I'm gonna keep trying to do this for as long as my abilities. And today we have Slash, and I'm really excited because him being the ideal for Rogue, um, get to have like inside conversations on Rogue as a team, on his personal challenges, on his history, and really excited to go into it. Thank you so much for the love for the last video. I think it's mind blowing how much came from that, and I hope I can keep giving you guys quality content as much as I can. Enjoy the video, guys. And yeah, we'll start from there. Okay, usually I start off asking like beginning of your competitive career and you know whatever, but I want to switch it up this time.
Okay.
How was DreamHack Valencia? What
Uh,
lessons did you guys learn as a team or as a player in that? Yeah.
DreamHack Valencia, it was okay. We didn't do as well as we thought we would, but in terms of the matches, we did basically just try to improve. Use it as a way to practice, sort of. We switched some roles around after Mouse and Obey games because obviously we didn't do as well as we would have liked to in those matches. So we put Geo on entry, and then I went and played more utility ops like Lion and OKB. And that part worked out pretty well. Our room clear was really good. Obviously, you could say it versus charity nerds, but even versus, I don't know, we did really well on that. But sort of reversed our problem where we used to be good at getting the bomb down, but then we struggled getting the bomb down here, where before we like struggled with the room clear. Now we're really good with the room clear. So, basically just need to focus up on getting the bomb down after we clear the room, do whatever we need to be able to put the bomb down. That's kind of what we learned from this event, just like where we are. Um,
Yeah.
did really well against IDK, but we just couldn't close out the round.
How do they feel as a team playing against them? Are they? Because I know there's just a lot of hype around IDK right now being like almost like a top level team, like topping the EU at the moment, and then taking DreamHack. Are they a challenge to face?
Um,
I mean, every team is a challenge, obviously.
our main challenge was for them was their strats aren't anything super crazy. They don't run like the the annoying ops like Glaz or Yang that much, but for us, our problem was mostly ourselves not playing super disciplined because there was and they were super clutch in our match. Like they won a lot of like 2v4s and whatnot, things like that. Um, you know, EP and Alums are really good players, two really good clutch players. That we sort of struggled to get around.
Hmm.
Um, as for strat wise and whatnot, like they didn't really do anything like crazy, like I said earlier, but for us, it was just they played a little more disciplined than we did, and we had chances to close it out if we hadn't been too over aggressive or maybe slowed down a bit, taking maybe some more time at the end of rounds for the attacks. But as a team, obviously they won the event, beat Penta. Good on
Yeah,
them.
yeah, 100%. Okay, let's talk about your first LAN, because obviously this isn't your first, but
No,
like all the way back to your first LAN, would you say you had any jitters? What LAN was it? Was it Siege? If so, we're slowly taking a flashback all the way to like the beginning of you playing competitive and
it
whatever
was
game.
uh it was year one, season three, Pro League finals, which was in Poland, and we actually played Alems and Meepy, who were on playing ducks at the time.
Okay.
The first game or the first map I played, which was it was Clubhouse, and I didn't do very well. I would say definitely like some nerves at the start. I don't think anyone doesn't get nervous in matches, um, at least at LAN, at least at the start. But most players after the first round or so, sort of goes away. Um, But yeah, back then nerves were definitely a big part. We had a lot of expectations to do well because we were the first seed. So um, yeah, it was a good experience. After the first map, I did pretty well in the other two, and we almost won, but we lost a 2v5 on the last round to lose the series. It was a really long series too, which is like something I'd never really played. Like that was 3 maps going overtime with technical delays. I think the match took over like 4.5 hours to actually be played out.
The
So
hell, dude? It's so
that
long.
was yeah, it was really long and mentally straining. I remember after that match, I like literally just went back to the hotel and went to sleep because I was so tired just from playing those matches.
Yeah, 100%. All right, I guess we can take a full flashback then all the way to how you started playing, because I know you have history in CS:GO. You have a lot of
Um,
hours on it, apparently. Well, I don't know if you
yeah.
play competitive for it, but maybe.
Um, I never played super competitive CS:GO really. I only got really into like playing any sort of competition in CS, like not really even competition, just like I played, ESEA League for fun with some of my teammates and some other people, but I played CS:GO a lot. I actually used to play more Call of Duty though, back on Xbox and the old ones on PC as well. Never really like competitive though until like console Call of Duty, like Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3 World at War, which I didn't really play competitions, but I still tried to like be the best and improve and like take it kind of seriously, but I didn't really know about any leagues or anything at the time, so I didn't really know that esports even had like a place where you could compete and play leagues and whatnot. So um, my first real competition was playing Siege. Um, I saw when I got the game because I saw the trailer for the game. I thought it looked cool, so I pre-ordered it, played the alpha and the beta. And then they announced skill fours and whatnot, and I just did them for fun with my friends. I knew a lot of like just a lot of the people I'd been playing with ended up being like uh, pro league players or competitive players, so they were all doing it, so I ended up doing it with my team.
What team was
Eventually,
that?
just oh my god, I don't think any of the people still even play the game, but um, we were called Blue Esports, which like I had no idea what. I still didn't really know too much about it. We just like the guy was like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna be called Blue Esports." I was like, "Okay." Um, and I trying to think back to who was actually on it, but I'm pretty sure none of them even play the game anymore. It was a long time ago.
Okay.
And then after that, I knew the Gotham gaming guys pretty well. Like King back then it was King George, Easy Peasy, and 3 other people. And then I also well, Hot and Cold was on that Blue Esports team for a bit, and that's where I met him. And from there, he joined another team, and I went with him as a sub. That team was Headhunters, which was Mint, Pojo, um, guy called Hubble, guy called Crimson Death, who ended up he played for Milspec. That's probably where most people would know him from. And Hot and Cold, and then I was their sub. So those guys tried to qualify for Pro League and almost made it, but we lost to a team that ended up had a bunch of cheating accusations against them and ended up getting like 6 weeks worth of delays while they investigated it to see if they were actually cheating and whatnot. I don't know. I don't remember what exactly came out of it, but I remember afterwards that team was not nearly as good as they were before, the investigation. So just leave it at that. But from there, Gotham Gaming wanted to change like 3 of their players, so they switched up. It was just King George and Easy Peasy left on the team, and then 3 of the Headhunters guys went and joined. Or we were called Nemesis then. We changed the name for some reason. I don't know why. Um, it was Hot and Cold Mint. Or no, sorry, it was Hot and Cold. Pojo and Crimson Death went and joined, and then Mint joined VWS for Clever. Because Clever obviously took his break from the game.
Yeah,
Uh, unrelated to being called a cheater.
completely.
And yeah, and then uh, I ended up sort of getting shafted. Like I had nowhere to go. I ended up playing for Gotham. Like I was a well, Trying to remember, it's so long ago. Um, Ended up just playing on like a couple like random teams for Go Fours and whatnot. And then one of the teams that qualified for the new season of Pro League, which was it was True Ambition. I joined them off of they made a lot of roster changes after they qualified for Pro League, so I joined them. And that's like how I actually like started playing in Pro League. Before that, I was just sort of like around the teams and you know like subs or like on teams. I would like scrim them, but never actually like competed in the Pro League.
Yeah, 100%. Hmm. So how did that like transition go from joining that first team towards making it? At some point, I know you were on a team with Kicks and Snake Nade.
But yeah, so after season two ended and True Ambition got fourth place, we the team disbanded because everyone wanted to go do different things. I didn't really know so that old Orbit team was Snake K9 Kicks, Canadian and Young, and then that was when Young and Canadian left to go make CTM, or at the time they were called B3. And at that LAN event for the season two finals, obviously Flipside made it, and I was friends with all them, and they told those Orbit guys to pick me up or at least like try me out. So yeah, that's how I ended up joining that team. I played with them a little bit, and then ended up thought it would be a good fit, so I ended up joining.
Um, so it's so CTM Canadian Young split up to join that. I know at some point, and you probably didn't know this was eventually going to happen, but eventually you joined CTM for a very short period of time. How was that? How was that period? What
Uh,
exactly? Because it was like 1 week we heard you were in CTM, and then all of a sudden it was like, how was that exactly?
Um, well, what happened was after the Invitational where we lost, they weren't happy with how like George fit in with the team. And they wanted someone like more aggressive. And I wasn't happy with how our team was going because back then we had a lot of issues where like we would fight all the time. People would, you know, just get mad at each other for literally no reason, and then it would always end up with like just someone leaving for the night, like because they got pissed off. So they asked me to join, and like at the time, like they asked me like if things weren't going so bad for my team, I probably wouldn't have joined. But um, everyone was fighting. It was just like a terrible like environment that I didn't really want to like waste my time in because every day was just like arguments, people leaving, and we never actually like got anything done or progressed. So I took the opportunity to join. At first, it went really well. I think we were pretty good, and then I'm not really sure what happened.
Practice was
Uh,
going well, scrims were going well, and then when it was time for
yeah,
the games,
yeah. When I first joined, everything was going fine. We were doing really well in scrims. Um, and then even into we got into the first pro league match when we went down 0-4 to the Xbox team at the time, Elevate, and we ended up coming back and winning 6-4, which was
yeah,
like I have no idea how, but we did.
I remember that game. That was,
And then we ended up taking the series, but after that, it was just like I personally like played pretty bad, and it just sort of snowballs on top in terms of like team environment. Like you start losing, and if you're not careful, it can all snowball really fast into like a kind of negative environment. Which they weren't like screaming at each other and whatnot. Like it wasn't that bad, but for me, it was just like kind of pressure on top of pressure. Kind of I ended up playing really bad, getting removed from the team.
hmm, that's pretty interesting. So it seems you've been in two environments based on what you just said, where like it's been like a weird, sort of negative team environment. How do you learning from that? How do you like keep yourself sharp? How do you improve? Make sure you're still on the same level, still on a great level to play in the professional scene, so you don't ever get dropped from a team or get
Um,
put in that situation again.
well, for me at least, when I'm in more of a leadership position, I think I individually play better as well because I'm more focused and intent on the game. And in terms of like keeping skills sharp, I don't really play too much ranked or anything, but just try to like pay attention to my fundamentals, like crosshair placement, movement, you know, being aware of what's going on around me. It's mostly just from playing a lot of scrims and having a lot of experience, knowing how, you know, like, and, finding out indicators as to what's going to happen later. So you can tell, like, okay, they open this, so maybe they'll go there later. I need to be aware of it, stuff like that. Just mostly experience at this point, since ranked is a lot of cheaters and it's just not like that great. So I don't really play it that much to to keep my skills sharp. But yeah, I don't really do too much, like,
Yeah.
7 hours a day of T hunt to keep sharp. It's just more of like a mental thing for me.
Are you throwing shots?
No,
Okay.
no,
Yeah, yeah.
no. I'm just saying, like, some players, everyone's different. For them, they need to play T hunt for 6 hours before scrims to get ready. Like, obviously I'm exaggerating, but um,
Yeah, 100%. I think that's interesting. So like with that, you're talking about you feel like you play better when you were in the leadership position. What about the various IGLs that have come through Rogue from like King George to you, and apparently now it's like you/Easily? How is that working out? How has that changed like the way the team plays from when King George was an IGL to when it became you? Do you feel like you've changed the way the team plays? Like,
when I first joined, back, like, originally, before I left, I was in game leading. Pretty much since I joined in season 3, and after that, when I joined back, it wasn't like I was immediately making a bunch of calls. I was just sort of like, okay, I'm coming back. I'll just do what I'm told. But I feel like, George as the in-game leader was never really like a super strict thing. I always felt like it was, you know, still me making a lot of the calls and whatnot. So I pretty much have always had like some sort of leadership. I would call it like an obligation, not an obligation, but like, some part in like how we're running as a team and whatnot. And for right now, it's really just depends. Sometimes, like, I'm not in the best position to actually make any calls, just to due to how the map and or the round plays out. And like sometimes, not I don't always have the answer. And knowing game leader will always have the correct answer for a round. So someone sees something I don't, or I see something they don't. Like, that person can sort of take over the round and decide what to do.
what is Easily's role then, generally in the team environment?
Um, so he coordinates a lot of the defense since he's on the site and on the cameras a lot.
Hmm.
Um, he'll know he'll know what we need to do. Like, in terms of where can the roamers go? Where are they? Where are the other, the enemy players? What are we looking at in sight? Is everyone covering something, or people looking at the same angles? Just sort of making sure everything's covered, and kind of telling us where we can go. Because when you're roaming, you don't really get too much info from your own view. It's kind of can be hard to go on cameras. You really are just playing off like sound and maybe like some gadget cues. And so having someone who can just sit on cams and tell you, okay, you're safe to go here, and flank here now. They're not watching it. It's really helpful. On attack too, sometimes he'll do a lot of the, or like start of the round, like, okay, we're gonna go from this side of the map or this side of the map. And after that, usually I'll try to take over and do like the step by step, the attack version of kind of what he does on defense. Like, are we watching this? Is the flank covered? Can we get rid of this? Can we, all right, let's go. Like, smoke up and plant. Basically, I call from there.
Okay. All right. So, this might be a sort of a different question based on what you're talking about. I do a lot of VOD reviews on your team. I think your team is a great example of like a drone-heavy team, if I'm right, obviously. And I watched two games, both consulate. The first game was a game against Obey. The second game was a game against Norarenga. So I have two questions based on that. Starting off with the Obey game, you play Alibi on Consulate when you guys go downstairs. Is that a comfort pick, or is that based on the strat?
Um, it's sort of a loose strat where I like to I like the gun to start off with, so obviously in part it's a comfort pick and it's also fast, but I like to, they can help to get info, especially around the piano area. Um, it's just another thing you have to pay attention to. So if they're trying to kill like a player in bathroom who's sitting there, they have to like I put them around there just so that it slows them down a bit. Maybe they shoot it, maybe they don't, but either way, like we get some sort of info or at least slow them down. Their clears. And also just like they're super adaptable. Like you can move them, put them anywhere you want, and use them in like a lot of different circumstances. So for me, it's just on a roam like that where like there's not a lot of support. Kind of helps me like cut off angles and whatnot. And also, you can use them like if I'm holding down a choke point, I'll throw one right in front of me so that when the guy comes to peek me, he'll either he'll see that alibi first, and he'll either shoot it, which will give me a ping as to where he is, or he won't shoot it and he'll hesitate, and then I'll be right behind it just to I can kill him without without him really shooting back.
I know you also play, and I've seen you actually done that. You did that in admin when you play in admin early round. Do you play in admin just to get the information of what part of the map you're pushing from first, or do you actually try to get an early pick when you position yourself there with a couple alibis?
You're talking about for basement?
For basement, yeah.
Yeah. So I start over there just to get info. Um, that's pretty much all it is. Just to like make sure we have presence on all parts of the map so that there's nowhere they can just go in quick and easy for free.
I noticed you rotate all the way from admin at some point, with some round. I don't remember which one it was, but you went all the way to bathroom to cover the person playing there. So everyone thought there was only one person in there, and then they were like caught off guard by two people. I thought that was a pretty smart play. Um,
Yeah, so the way I try to roam is like I try to have a big presence, which means, lots of rotating, and you can make yourself bigger than, one person. If you, let's say they drone you out, you shoot the drone and you leave, they're not going to know you left. And then you can go somewhere else, or maybe they weren't expecting you, but just trying to, go around and be mobile and, um, make a bigger presence on the map than, just one person sitting in one spot by himself. So I try to be mobile and cause problems anywhere, like catch people off guard.
so regarding roaming, and I think this is more of a question I want for other people to reflect on. What do you think are the big problems people or issues or yeah? What do you think are the big problems or mistakes people make when they are roaming that
Um,
you don't or you notice maybe when you watch a VOD or something?
yeah, well, I still make a lot of mistakes on the roam. Everyone does because, you're not working with the best info all the time. But a lot of the problems are people over peak. So there's a lot of times we're roaming where if you just sit still, they're just waiting for you to peak, and you can burn like 30 seconds by just sitting still and waiting. And the other is also, um, not leaving fast enough. So if you're in like an advanced position on the map where like you're far away from your team and whatnot, and you see a drone, you just shoot that one drone and just leave. But I see a lot of people like try to stay around and get either more drones, get a kill, or what else. But if you just leave and they don't know you left, then it causes a lot of problems where they don't have the best info anymore, and you now have like an information advantage. Um, had another just people playing too far from their teammates as well, like playing by themselves on another part of the map, which sometimes it can work if the spot's good and you don't really need a lot of support there. Like not many of the walls are destructible. You're safe from grenades. You have a way to get away from flashbangs. Those can be fine to play by yourself, but a lot of people they just get caught off guard in spots where they can no longer leave because there's an easy way to watch like your exit, or there's a like there's no really is just like no escape from the map, like that area of the map. So I'd say like playing with your teammates would 99% of the time a better option than just going off and playing by yourself.
Yeah, I noticed in Coastline game versus Mouse Sports, you play with the clips. When you guys go penthouse, you and the clips roam downstairs and try to like play off each other there, which is a different room completely from when you play as Alibi and Admin and Consulate. Different maps, obviously, which require different playstyles, but that's
Yeah,
an
on
example.
consulate I can usually get out of any trouble if I'm fast enough at the start of the round. which is why I do it there. But on coast, there's so many like different angles, like the skylight as well cuts off a lot, cuts off completely going back up the staircase, the cool vibe staircase. There's just on coast, it's so much harder to roam because there's way less safe areas for roamers that you kind of have to go together to try to either trade or bait out a shot so your teammate can kill him. So it's map dependent, obviously, but on most, I would say our roamers tend to work together as opposed to playing by themselves, trying to like sneak by and get a pick.
I'm working on a video called Fighting the Unknown, and it's me analyzing a VOD of you guys playing Consulate versus Norurengo. How did it feel playing against them and not really having enough like information on them? And what do you do as a team when you don't have enough information on the team you're about to play, especially on land, which is an important match? What do you try to work on, and what did you guys learn from that? You guys eventually beat them, which was great, but there were obviously some shortcomings, and some of the rounds came really close, and they took a map. Like, how did you? What are some lessons
Uh,
you could say you learned from that?
um, One thing we definitely learned was not to get too overconfident. The consulate match we started, I think every defense round we got like an early pick or something, like got up in man advantage, but then we did a terrible job of just like playing super safe spots and just waiting. So one thing we definitely learned was chill out a little bit, go back to the site and just wait instead of trying to push your advantage more, because we usually would end up losing the advantage. Um, for us when we play a team like that in general, like we're fine dropping a couple rounds. If they do something crazy, like something that our region would never do or doesn't do. So for us going down in those rounds, like doesn't really bother us. Like for us, we can always come back, and we've done it on many occasions where like been down 4-1 or so and come back. Um, it's just like especially with when they're super good individual and they have their own play style, it can be really hard for us to pinpoint exactly what to do. And it got right up to the line of where we were about to not have any more rounds to figure it out. But we did end up kind of getting an idea of what they're trying to do. And then I think once the 4-1 scoreline hit, everyone sort of realized, all right, we need to play safe, get the picks, fall back. As for attack, our attacks were like we had a stand-in at the event, and I think that's where it threw off our attacks a little bit because it's not Shuttle's fault. It's just we're used to playing with Geo and the way he plays and what he does. And I think Shuttle did a great job filling in. But it's still just another element to throw us off while they're doing what they want to do, and we are still trying to figure that out while having our own issues. So kind of getting off topic from the question, but
You're good. No, I
I
like
kind of
that.
forgot what the original question
Oh,
was.
the
I'm sorry.
original question was just like you kind of answered it when you explained like fighting the unknown, like fighting Norengo without VODs, without like any VODs of him, and like
Yeah.
learning. You explained you like you try to learn mid game as fast as possible before it costs you way too many rounds. Oh, that also leads to my second question though, like by boot camping with shuttle, and what exactly? How do you manage a last minute pickup, and how do you prep exactly with like a boot camp? How do you do that, and how do you try to make it as effective as possible when you have just so little time?
So for a normal boot camp, we would get there, and we would start trying to come up with new stuff. Usually, the first thing we do is go over everything we already have, make sure everyone knows what they're doing, practice that for a day. Um, and then the other days we spend trying to come up with new stuff. We look at VODs, try to see what we can take from them, from other teams, and like maybe other teams do like something that's more efficient than what we're doing. But with Shuttle, we spent most of the time just trying to incorporate them into what strats we already have and making sure we did our default strats and our basics really well with a new player. So we didn't really have as much time to come up with like new defenses or new attacks. Um, so that was sort of a little bit of a different boot camp, but I still feel like it, you know, while trying to incorporate him into all of our normal stuff, it helped us a lot. The other four players as well to make sure they were doing their role right and everyone knew what everyone else was doing. So a little bit of a different boot camp, but I feel like it was still helpful, but in a different way.
I'm pretty curious, and this might be a more detailed question on like how you guys practice. I'm not trying to ask for any of your strats or anything, but I think a lot of teams, at least a lot of upcoming teams, would be curious to know what exactly does it mean to practice, not necessarily scrimming, but that first day of boot camp. What does that entail exactly? When you mean like know your defaults, you like get it. What does it mean? Like, what do you do when you get into that custom server exactly? Like
Um,
practice your executes, practice your drone game.
in the customs, it's less of you know some team, and this is different for every team, but like for us, we don't go and like, all right, dry run through the take. Okay, everyone do this. Okay, reset it, do it again. We're more of like, this is like what we're gonna do. Okay, let's go into scrim and let's start doing it there. And then obviously, it doesn't go as always perfect at the start. So over time, like we'll be in the match and we'll be in the scrim and we'll see what's working and what's not working, and then sort of change what we dry ran from there. And yeah, for normal practice, we tend not to try to win the scrim matches. We just want to pick out certain strategies we have and what we want to do, um, and what strats we feel need to be worked out, and we just go over those over and over and try. We tend not to make super big like game mid game adaptations and scrims. We try to just run our most basic stuff and try to get that to work in every circumstance so that we sort of know we have something to fall back on that can work in most circumstances. So that's mostly what we do with our practice. Because a lot of the mid game stuff, it's super specific to that match. So we just sort of wait till the actual match to figure out what to do in terms of like big changes or specific strats that we want to run versus a certain team. And sometimes if we have good enough odds for the team, we can come up with that stuff ahead of time. But at the start of the season, when there weren't really vods and a lot of the teams had different rosters and like completely redid everything they do, that can be well, it's hard to find the vods for counter stratting and whatnot. So at the start, we were mostly just doing on the fly like adaptations.
What does it mean to counter strat a team?
Um, for us, it's more of some teams will have super specific counters for that one strat that they know a team does. But for us, it's more general, as in like we try to know what they're doing and like all their options, and then we come up with defenses or attacks that can handle all of what they will do. Because if we come up with a one specific strat to stop their take from one side of the map, and then they decide to go to the other side that we're weak on, then it's really easy just to rotate to the other side of the map, especially if we stack all our utility on the other side. Um, so for us, counter striking is more just making sure we have a way to react to everything in the middle of the round, as opposed to coming up with like big strategies to counter what they do.
You said based on like how your team practices, it's you have an idea of what you want to implement. You have the foundation down, and you like implement it in a scrim, and then you try to work mid round or mid scrim on how to like improve that, what made it fail the round before. Do you feel like that's a strong point for you as an IGL, being able to make better mid round like adaptation decisions or mid game adaptation decisions based on how a
Um,
team plays?
yeah, it's something that we used to do more when it was me, Snake, Clips, Avian, and K9. Way back then when we were Arrow, we used to just rush sites way more. Try to stray away from that just now due to like all the utility that is present on defense. So it can be kind of hard to rush sites because one element, stop your rush, and Legion mines as well, and just a bunch of other, there's a lot more camera type operators. So Maestro, Bulletproof Cams, Echo, Valkyrie can all like kind of shut that down. So in terms of adaptation, it's more of just less like how do we, fully win this round with this change. It's more of okay, this is how like they're roaming. How can we change our clear to better clear their roamers? Less of how do we completely just find the one hole in their defense and use that to win the round.
There's a meme about NA in the professional scene compared to EU teams. Um, it's obviously in many other games, not just in Rainbow. What are your thoughts on that in like a rainbow specifically? You've been to a lot more lands, obviously, so you've been able to compete on an international level. Um, do you feel like that's true? Do you feel like can you point out anything like you think is really holding North America back as a region?
Um, I don't really think North America is that far behind Europe, to be honest. Like, I don't think it's big of a disparity as people say. Obviously, I think some EU teams are overhyped in terms of how would they do internationally, but Rogue, our team in EG has been competitive with EU. Like it hasn't just been getting blown out by like EU and like NA falls instantly to the first EU team they see. I think overall they probably the strength of their league is probably around where NA is at right now. I think NA has gotten a lot stronger this season compared to previous seasons.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is teams finally making like roster changes that needed to happen 2 seasons ago, but didn't because of like friendships or personal reasons. Whereas for our team, like in EG, they've always been willing to do the hard changes. You know, the winning comes first. So I think a lot of other teams will start catching up now. And yeah, I think in future events we'll see the teams outside of us and EG performing a lot better internationally.
Friendships. So you've had to make a lot of compromises based on friends. You have a couple friends, based on my knowledge, in your team right now that you're close with, like Eclipse and the likes. But and this is a community question actually, brought to you by the community. Uh, Apparently you have a long history with Snake Nade, and people are curious to know why he is not on like. Was there ever a chance he could ever be on Rogue, even with the coaching role? Or did you just feel like when it was done, when you left, like it was over?
Well, when we first benched Snake, we offered him like a coaching job, but at the time he didn't want it. He wanted to pursue other things, which was that's fine. But Snake is a really good friend of mine still, probably like one of my best friends in the scene, and it can be hard to like cut your friend, but we weren't doing well in scrims, and you know him and some other players, there were issues within the team that the best thing for the team would probably be for him to not be on the team, which doesn't a lot of players do like lose friendships over getting cut from a team, but it's not personal or anything. Like I got dropped from the EG team, which is CTM, but it's not. I understand it's not personal. Like players should be able to recognize like, hey, not really performing well on this team, even though you're my friends and whatnot. That probably best for them to move on. But I think like maybe players take getting dropped and whatnot a little too personally sometimes.
And you as an IGL, you the one who gets to lay down like, hey, we had to have that conversation, or is it like more of a team thing?
Well, usually when we drop players, it's pretty apparent when there needs to be a change. Um, I've never had to, you know, kind of trying to think of how to say this.
I'll try to hold myself back too from saying any names. I think it'll be unprofessional too.
Yeah, I don't want to call anyone out, but usually everyone in the team knows something's wrong. We need to make a change. It's usually pretty apparent where we want to make the change and where we think we can improve the most from a change. So it's not really just me saying like we need to make a change. It's more of everyone sort of agrees we need a change and then try to find a player that can better fit the role of what we need.
How is Geo since he got picked up? Ever since he left like CLG to join it, like I know based on like your tweets or you guys' feedback, it's like, oh, Geo has been amazing. He was a great fit for the team. But how exactly is he like a great fit, and what exactly are the benefits he brings to Rogue?
Um, well, one benefit is that like individually he's a smart player in terms of his own individual play and positioning, so he usually can stay alive and won't get picked and will, be aware of what's going on around them. That's one of the things that like I really like in a player is being aware of all the angles that are looking at them. Taking in information from earlier and remembering it through the rest of the round to not get picked from like a window that was opened at 30 seconds into the round, and now we're at the last 30 seconds, and you know you forgot that window was open, and there's a guy there. So in terms of individual play, he's good at that, and he's good at playing with his teammates as well in the realm and just being flexible in how he plays. And now as like an entry fragger, his individual like aim and whatnot and like movement is really coming into play as like just destroying people on the entries. Like when we drone people out for him, he'll be behind the drone and he'll kill that guy 90% of the time. So just having like that one player who will always make the right decisions has been really helpful.
In the Mouse Sports Coastline game, you guys actually seemed pretty strong to me personally. I know it ended. It wasn't like a general win in the end, but your attack seemed pretty solid, at least when the game started. What do you think went wrong? You probably know at this point, but what do you think you guys did wrong at that point in those games?
We got a little too focused on clearing roamers when we didn't need to. When we could have just gone and got the bomb down. I think that was probably our biggest issue on attack. Um, when we did clear the roamers, we ended up usually winning those rounds. But there were times where we kept trying to clear when we didn't have to, and their roamers are really good, and they just ended up winning the gunfights and like sort of getting the man advantage. And then after that, we weren't able to actually get the bomb down.
Okay, so last question. It is like what 3 a.m. Here it's more of a personal question. You've made a lot of sacrifices, in the personal life to pursue Siege like a competitive professional way. Do you ever regret that? Have you ever you've left school and everything? What are your like? How has that been so far ever since you left it?
Um, I mean, it's been great. Like, I wasn't happy in school anyway, so you know, having another option that was also like the thing I wanted to do the most was pretty much a no-brainer decision.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, everything's been going well. Obviously, there was a chance it wouldn't work out, but even then, like you know, uh, the way I am as a person is just like okay, shit will happen, and just move on and like figure out a solution after that. So I was never really worried like long term what would happen and whatnot. It was just sort of like this is what I want to do now, and I'm gonna go do it, and I'm not gonna have another opportunity to do it.
So you've been dropped from a couple teams. Final
One
question.
team.
One
I've only
team.
been dropped
One
from one
team.
team.
Okay, you've been dropped from one team. Well, I'm also referring to like after the go for it thing, and you were mid, just in between a couple teams before you actually got picked up. But and this is a question at least most streamers get in their chat, but I feel like, and if you don't have the answer for it, it's okay. But there are grown players in the scene who want to play on a professional level. They don't get the start to play when the game started, like you know, a lot of people did who are now professionals. Based on your like history in competitive FPSs, what would be the advice you can give these people?
Just get really good at the game. Uh, at this point, if you really want to, take over from the people with experience and who are good, then you're gonna just have to be that much better. I think there are like some newer players who individually might just be as good as older players, but you lack so much experience and knowledge of like older metas, older play styles, older tactics that can come out again at any time that I would pretty much always take like the more experienced player unless I saw like something special in like a new player. So either make your own team and get there on your own terms, or just try to get as good as you can to where like you can't be ignored.
Thank you. That's quite a statement. I appreciate this slash. I think I do these because I feel like this is important for other people to understand what goes on in people's minds and the history behind Siege like competitive. So I really appreciate you taking the time. It's been like almost an hour now, like to have this conversation. I hope we can have another like sometime. I know you guys have a couple games this week. Um, I appreciate you
Yeah, I
taking
have
the
a lot
time
of
out
free
for
time.
this.
I have a lot of free time, so time you wanna chat up another video, no problem. Just send me a message.
I will 100%. Thanks a lot, Slash. I appreciate
Yeah, no
this.
problem, man.